In the distance, she spotted the recognizable flash of Chartomi dashing in and out of rooms. Occasionally, a rush of air would buffet her, telling her he was carrying someone to safety. They cleared the last few people from the remaining suites and rushed back to the mostly empty emergency bay. Chartomi stood hunched over with his head between his legs, wheezing. His skin had flushed to a fiery shade she'd never seen before. Sudden cold worry consumed her. Though faster than lightning and quite strong, her friend could only run so much before he hyperventilated or his body quit on him. Entry into atmosphere, 3 minutes. "We're out of time," Katie panted, dragging Chartomi to the lifeboat where the prince sat, still unconscious. Her friend nodded, not even having enough energy to project a response into her mind. He stumbled into the royal lifeboat and collapsed into a seat. Katie lingered at the entrance. She didn't spot anyone left in the emergency bay and hoped to both the Earth God as well as the Betuhine's gods that everyone on board had gotten away safely. She stepped inside, her hand lingering over the release that would send their boat shooting away from the ship, when a strangled cry reached her ears. Her eyes flashed to the bay, and she saw an elderly man struggling to drag 2 individuals behind him. His steps faltered, and he scrambled to stand. He strained with all his might, but only managed to slide his friends a few feet. "Katie, no! Absolutely!" Chartomi didn't have time to finish his sentence or unbuckle his belt before she reached over and activated his cryosleep orb. Fury and hurt crossed over his expression a moment before the gel slipped onto his body and his eyes fluttered closed. "I'll be right behind you," she whispered. Entry into atmosphere, 2 minutes. Adrenaline dulling her terror and narrowing her focus, she dashed out of the lifeboat, slapped the release, and flew toward the struggling man. With their combined strength, they were able to get both entranced people situated in a 3-person lifeboat just as the ship's voice began to count down the seconds until the massive cruise ship would hit the atmosphere and likely break apart at the accelerated speed. 30, 29, 28. Katie just made out a croaky thank you from the elderly male as she sped to activate the release, then barreled to a waiting lifeboat. Her sweaty hands fumbled with the smooth metal seat buckles, but she finally got them to lock. 10, 9, 8, 7. She slammed her fist against the release and felt her stomach lurch as the boat careened away. Her hand was millimeters from the cryosleep button when something large and heavy crashed into her and sent the lifeboat whirling through the air. Her body was rammed back and forth against her seatbelt as she tumbled wildly through the atmosphere. She needed to get the gel activated soon or she'd never survive the landing. Tensing her limbs against the G-forces threatening to pull her apart, she finally knocked the cryosleep button with her elbow. Before she could discern the feel of the blue gel on her skin, everything faded to black.